Coolio. All right, so I'm back on the stream. Fingers are not doing it, so not really going to be practicing on stream when I sound pretty bad, but I thought I would do something fun. I'm going to try to help you guys with some of your theory homework. Coolio. So, all right, pretty much what I've got is I'm going to be giving you guys some general theory questions, and I want to see if you guys can figure some of this stuff out, and I'm going to kind of walk you through the steps on how to figure some of this stuff out. So I'll use my tonal harmony book, I'll use my theory book, and then I'll also use this blank sheet is what we're going to kind of start with. So to kind of get things going in the right direction, let's say I start, I don't know, right here or something, and we're doing I'm trying to write out here, let me make sure you can see. Let's do, yeah, that's not bad. That'll get the job done. So if we can do something we're here in let's see, my treble clef, like that, right? Something good enough. So pretty much if I write down some kind of, I don't know, a freaking chord progression or something in the key of A minor, I'm writing oh, I've got my one chord, right? Let's see if you guys can see that okay, kind of. And then I've got my 3 chord or something, right? So I got my C major chord, which I can do like this in what? Inversion. Let's see if you guys can kind of figure this out. So look a little bit closer to this. I'm going to try to get it so you guys can look really close. So, man, my handwriting's pretty bad. Let's try that again. So this is my first time trying to set this up, so just bear with me here while I try to figure out getting this thing a little bit closer. So if I do something maybe you guys can see this a little bit better. Let me know. Trying out something new today, so just bear with me. So if we're I don't know, we're right over here, and I'm writing out an A minor chord, like that, right? And then I can go and drop this down from A to G, and then it creates what kind of chord? So we have A, C, E right here, and then we have G, C, E right here. So the big thing that, the biggest problem that I have with my theory students is they don't really understand specifically how to stack triads when they're in inversions, because it really confuses them. So just remember, all you're really doing is you're doing some sort of rearrangement of a triad. So if you see G, C, E, you're okay, G to C is a fourth, so we're obviously in some kind of inversion of some sort. So look at this. If you take the G and you bump it up an octave, you should be able to see that it is a triad of C, E, G, right? So this would be, so how we'd label this basically is if we were in the key of if we were in the key of A minor, I'm going to write a lowercase a, I'm going to write a 1 underneath right here. Then I'm going to write a 3 chord, which is a capital Roman numeral, okay? But then I'm going to write 6/4 next to it, just like that. So that, in a nutshell, is how you do that. So it's in second inversion, not first inversion. Remember that, because if it was in first inversion, the E would be on the bottom, right? Because first inversion means that the third of the chord is on the bottom. Okay, so just bear with me here on that. Now let's keep going. So instead of having the 1 chord and the 3 chord, what's a good chord to connect the 3 chord? Think. All I'm thinking about when I'm connecting these kinds of inversions is I'm sort of just trying to think and figure out the easiest and smoothest chord to go to. So if you notice here, we have G, C, E. If I move the E to an F, that's not really going to work. I can move, let's see, I can move the C to a B. What if I do that? So if I move my, let's see, my G can stay, my C can move down to a B, and then my E can stay in the same spot, right? Just like that. So what chord does this create right here? Does anyone know? So we have a G, we have a B, and then we have an E, right? What chord does this create, if you know? We have a B. I'm sorry, we have a G, B, E. This one should be a lot easier than the first one. Come on, we got it. Anyone know? No? Okay, well, we have basically, it's an E minor chord, but it's in first inversion, okay? Whenever you see like a triad that's stacked weird, it's probably in an inversion. You see like two out of the three snowmen are connected, right? That's kind of what we're sort of trying to look for and go for, okay? So going further with it a little bit, after we have this, let's label this real quick. So if we're in the key of A minor and we just did an E minor chord, okay, that is going to be our 5 chord in first inversion. Now, here's the thing. We don't typically do a minor 5 chord. We usually do a major 5 chord, so we can do that. That's totally fine. We can put in a G sharp right here, making it a capital V for 5. But then, since we have this G sharp here, okay, we have this G sharp here. What inversion is it going to be in? It's going to be in first inversion. So we write a 6 right there, okay? Does that make sense of how I figured that out? Let me unplug one of my guys here. There we go. But anyways, so we have a 1 chord, a 3 chord, and a 5 chord. So here's the thing about chords is like if I label this out for you guys, because this is like pretty beginner music theory, and I want to make sure that you guys really understand this, is if I write like, I don't know, my A minor chord here, like I have what, A, C, E, right? That's my first minor chord. And then my next chord was what? It was C, E, G. So you can bump the A down to a G. Does this kind of make sense? This might like make a little bit more sense looking at it this way, because you can see that I'm basically just using common tones and just dropping down one note from a triad can create a new triad, right? So just instead of doing like these annoying like root position blocks, this is how piano players think all the time, is they use inversions, and we should be doing it too as guitar players. So if you can kind of figure this out, like always look for the inversions and use inversions, because it really makes your life like a lot easier and it sounds really good. So the last one that we did was we made this one a G sharp, okay, and that's fine. So G sharp, but then we also had a B and we had an E. Okay, do you see how the just the slightest change makes like a ginormous, astronomically large difference? Okay, so that's how inversions work basically, guys. This is like Neo-Romanian theory in a way too. I'll talk about that here in a second, because Neo-Romanian theory is going to give us like more spicier stuff and weirder stuff. But this is like, to put it simply, how to switch from one chord to the other a lot smoother, okay? Let me know if that makes sense. Let's get another drink of the coffee. I'm liking the setup. This is really cool. So let me know if that makes sense. So when you do things on the classical guitar, or when you do things on your electric guitar or whatever, and you do like sweep picking or something, always think in terms of inversions and not in terms of root position. Because root position can be good in certain contexts, but usually we want to use inversions because it just sounds smoother. So excuse me. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Let's keep it up though. So that's like all fine and dandy, right? So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna move this a little bit, and we're gonna start a new area here a little bit. Let's just stay in treble clef here and try to keep this train going. So if we're in treble clef, watch me write like a really terrible treble clef here. Let's see, how do I do a treble clef again? Is it like this? No, that's not it. Let's see, treble clef, is it this way? Kind of. That's a little bit better. That's like a much better version of the first one that I did, that's for sure. But anyways, let's see if we can figure some other stuff out. So like, let's say we're in the key of D minor. Okay, so let's get a flat in the key sig, and let's write down D. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna write. I'm gonna write down that our first chord is a 3 chord. Our next chord is a diminished 7 chord. And let's say that's in what inversion? Let's see. Let's say that's in first inversion. So I'll write a 6 next to it. And let's say right here we go into our 5 chord, which is in second inversion. And then we'll be at our 1 chord at the end. How's that? Okay, so this is a common and very typical thing that we get when we are, come on, focus. Trying to get this thing to focus so you guys can see it a little bit better. Let's see if I can get this bad boy to focus. Come on. Let me know if you guys can see this okay, because it looks like it's not focusing as well as it was. Maybe I gotta back it up a little bit. Bear with me, this is my first time trying out this new like format. This is a little bit better if I hold it. So maybe it's just gotta get closer, I guess. But so let's keep trying to figure this out here. So I'm gonna go a lot closer. If it's like, if it wants to be closer, I can try to do it. Let's see. Let's see how I can figure that out. All right, doing my best here. So like, basically like how we can stack this in a nutshell is, okay, so we have a 3 chord in D minor, which is what chord? A capital, so it's going to be a major chord, but we got to go to the 3rd scale degree and create a triad. So that means that it's going to be F, A, C, right? Pretty easy. Okay, nothing too hard so far. Let's keep going. So the next chord is a 7 diminished chord, implying the harmonic minor scale. Because if you see the little circle next to it and a lowercase, that's a diminished chord. But it's in first inversion. So instead of playing C sharp, E, and then G, we're going to play E, G, C sharp. So let's see if we can stack this. E, G, C sharp. Boom. Okay. Let's keep going. So now we have our 5 chord that's in second inversion. Let's figure this out. So we have second inversion dominant chord. So our regular dominant chord in D minor is a 5 chord, which it would be A, C sharp, E, but we're in second inversion, so we're going to do E on the bottom. Then we're going to do A in the middle. And then we're going to do C sharp. Okay. There we go. All right, then the last chord is a 1 chord in just this straight up standard inversion, which I'm just going to put as D, F, A. And that's it. So if we look at this like really closely, you can kind of see the common tones that I use. Look at this. C to C sharp, that's a nice smooth transition right here. While these two go down, that's pretty nice with the top voice. If you can see right here, the E stays between these two chords and the C sharp stays between these two chords. And then this one just stacks down. But honestly, when you go back to the tonic, that's a more appropriate place to just hit the root position because we want to finalize this chord progression. So here's the $1 million question is, how does it sound? Okay, so I can use my MIDI keyboard or I can just use my classical guitar over here. So if I try to play this, basically it's gonna sound probably pretty okay, even though you can't really see my fingers here. But here, I'm gonna go ahead and do this. That's fine. Okay, so basically doing our one chord, which is a 3, F, A, C, then our diminished 7 chord, which is E, G, C sharp. Okay. So, and then we have our 5 chord, which is E, let's see, E, A, C sharp. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, E, A, C sharp. So we have and then we have what? Our D minor chord, which is going to be, right? So let me play this. It's not bad. It's not amazing or anything, like maybe adding some more like fun stuff with it, like maybe doing just like and then maybe to me it sounds like we're more in F major. But yeah, that's pretty much like how to do basic figured bass. Okay, so the other thing that I wanted to try out, since this is like my testing day, is my old theory book from college, one of the colleges. This is gonna be crazy. It's not gonna be easy, but we'll be fine. So like, let's say we go to like, God. I'll show you guys what I'm looking at here. It's gonna be a little more complicated, but I'm trying to figure out how to do this and you guys can still read what this book is actually saying. Maybe I just gotta heighten this up, like just kind of like, yeah, maybe I just gotta raise it up and then put this like this. It's just like it doesn't want to focus for some reason, even though it's like, bro, I'm just trying to show you my book. It's like it's got to be like stupidly like close for whatever reason. But I'm gonna read you. I want to read you guys some of this stuff. Let's see. Kind of. There we kind of go. That's not bad. Okay, I can handle that. So let's look at some of this stuff. So chromaticism refers to the use of pitches that are not diatonic in the key of the passage, yada yada. Chords that imply chromaticism are called altered chords. Okay, so this is a little more advanced stuff, which I just kind of picked a page that I feel like we can benefit from. So let's keep reading and see what we've got. So and the most commonly encountered altered chords is in secondary function. A secondary function is a chord whose function belongs more closely to a key other than the main key of the passage. So it's basically saying that like when we're trying to tonicize something, like we don't always have to tonicize the typical root tonic that we're always used to. We can tonicize plenty of other stuff. Like we can tonicize other keys, we can tonicize other notes in the scale. Like there's a lot of things we can do, and we can do this with secondary dominance and secondary diminished. So I think that's what we're getting to. So secondary dominance can tonicize only major or minor triads or major or minor triads with a seventh, which can work. This means the diminished 7 chord, for example, cannot be tonicized by a secondary dominant, which is true, because why would you can't really tonicize a diminished chord, right? It just doesn't make really any sense. If you're trying to tonicize a diminished chord, it's just not really going to work. It's just, it has so much tension in it, right? So let's keep going. So yada, 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 cannot be tonicized. To spell a secondary dominant, go up a perfect fifth from the root of the chord to be tonicized, and spell a major triad from 5 of, or a major minor 7th chord for 5/7. That's fine. A major minor, they're just saying like a major triad and a minor 7th on top, so a dominant 7 chord. To determine whether an altered chord that you encounter in analysis might be a secondary dominant, see whether it is a major triad or a minor 7th chord with a root that is a perfect fifth above a scale degree. That usually carries a major or minor triad in that key. If so, the altered chord is a secondary dominant. Secondary dominants resolve just as primary dominants do, except that the chord of resolution frequently contains a 7th. In that case, the leading tone of the secondary dominant moves down by a half step, yada yada. So that, which is true, like that's a really easy way of smooth voice leading with that kind of stuff. So what are we kind of saying here? We're basically kind of starting to say that like a secondary dominant chord, there are really smooth ways of voice leading a secondary dominant chord, essentially. Okay, so let's kind of take a look at some examples and see what they're saying about this stuff. So let's see, secondary function. It looks like I had this for homework because it was circled. So let's see. Secondary voice leading. Let's see this stuff. Let's see. Why does it just not want to focus? It's like today is like no focus day. But let's see. Come on, bro. Let's get this thing focused. That's not bad. But it's like if I end up like, it's like they want me to hold it. It's like my freaking dog. Let's see. Would this be okay? That's pretty good. At least you guys can see that a bit better. Can I do this, but keep this down? Okay. That's pretty good. Okay, so let's see what we're saying here. So secondary leading tones in E minor. Okay, so apologies for all the mild issues here, but like, so basically the key of E minor has 1 sharp in the key sig, relative major of G major. Okay. Let's see if we can figure some of this out. So the tonic triad, so it looks like they want, what do they want us to do? Oh, are they just listing them? These are not, do I not have to spell them? Because this is like, this is where we're at. This is where we want to go. It looks like I did this, maybe, kind of. I don't know. I wish I had a pencil so I don't mess it up, but whatever. But basically, like, they're saying, like, okay, what secondary dominant chord or function is this? So if we look over here, let's see if I can figure this out, because I need you guys to really be able to see this. That's not terrible. So basically, like, this chord right here is G sharp, B, D, F. So it's obviously some kind of what? Is it a diminished 7 chord, like a secondary diminished chord, or is it a secondary dominant chord? Well, the chord G sharp, B, what is it? G sharp, B, D, and then F. That's kind of a tricky one to ask. Because G sharp to B is a minor third, but then B to D is a major third, then D to F is a minor third. So let's play it and let's make sure we got the right chord. So I think I know what it is, but we're going to double check. So we've got G sharp, which I can do here, B, D, and then F. Oh, I'm sorry. I said one thing wrong. B to D is a minor third. I don't know why I said major third. Anyways, let's keep going. So let's see. I got to go for a run soon. So let's get this done. So basically, like right here, this is a diminished chord of what? The problem is diminished chords can tonicize a lot of stuff. I think what they're saying though is it's a diminished 7 of A minor. Okay? And basically that would be a diminished 7 of a 6. So it'd be a 7 of 6. Like that. Okay? So yeah, like that. So does everybody know how I got that? Do you kind of know how I figured that out? I basically, all I really did was I went and I figured out that this was a diminished chord. And I'm like, okay, what are they trying to tonicize? If it's a G sharp diminished chord, I'm going to assume that we're in A harmonic minor. You know, that's at least what made the most sense to me. Because G sharp is the leading tone of A, and that's the 6th scale degree. I could be wrong though. Let's check my answer and let's make sure that this is right. Let's see where my answers are. Answers begin on page 607. Let's see. 607. That's the problem with these theory books, is they give you the answers. 607. Oh, I circled it too. Let's see, where am I? I got it right. Okay, yeah, right there. 7 of 6. Okay. So again, just be very practical. If you see an accidental like this, it just might just be good. Just go up a half step. It might not be as complicated as you think. You just got to use your brain on that sometimes. Okay. So does that kind of make sense? I hope that makes sense. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to see about like maybe just going through this book with everybody, maybe a little bit every day, and we'll try to figure some of this stuff out together. Yeah, that's kind of the general ordeal. I'm going to see if I can go for a quick run. I got a little bit of time. So yeah, let me know if you like this format, and then